Hello, how are you all? Good to see you all again. So I'm Chris, this is Alex.
I'm Alex.
So we're going to get into making some bread. Bread has been around for centuries now, it's almost as old as mankind. It has been a staple diet for everybody through every generation. So bread has been around for quite a long time. So today we're going to look into making some bread, but like Paul said, something with a little bit of an unusual twist to it. There are a few things that we're going to look at. First thing is, and I know you won't have this, but this is what they call is a kneading board. And you'll notice that this board has edges on it. So this allows you to contain your mess when you're making bread. If you don't have, you'll notice that the flour will go everywhere. So bear that in mind. So what I'm thinking of doing is I'm going to put up some plans for this kneading board. If anyone wants to build it, just send us an email and you'll be able to download a set of drawings. So your mum and dad could try to make one. I got all the materials from Bunnings, and this one's quite old. I've had this one now probably for about 8 or 9 years. So all the materials are easy to get. So on the back there is a small ledge, and this ledge goes against the edge of the bench so that when you are kneading it, the board will stay stationary. The other thing that you'll need is one of these, and it's a non-skid mat. Once again, you can pick them up from Bunnings, very easy to get and not very expensive. So what you do is put that on the bench, put that down, hook it against the edge, and you're ready to go. The first things that we're going to do, a few things that you need to know before you actually start making bread. The yeast that you are going to use is a living organism. Yeast, once you add the water, it starts fermenting and starts creating its gases and everything, and it becomes a living organism. One thing that you need to do is not use tap water. Tap water has chlorine in it, and chlorine will kill the yeast.
Does that mean I can't use pool water?
Can't use pool water.
Okay.
No.
Where do I get my water from?
What you can do is just get bottled water that's got no chlorine in it, and that will be perfect.
What happens if I have a river at the back of my house?
You could, if it was clear. Yeah, okay. That would be nice. Rainwater is the best.
Okay.
Or filtered water. If you've got in the kitchen, you know, one of those filters that go underneath the bench, perfect. Like that's the best. Because I used to make a lot of bread, as you can see. I used water from the tap and my bread would not rise. And I found out it was due to the chlorine killing the bacteria or the yeast, and it wouldn't rise properly.
Poor little yeasties.
Yep.
Poor little yeasties.
It kills all the yeast, so your bread won't rise.
Alrighty.
The other thing that you've got to do is use all your containers should be made of plastic or china, but not steel. Steel has an effect on the rising of the bread and everything. So it's better not to use a steel container like stainless steel or anything like that. This is being picky, I know, but if you want your bread to rise really well, bear that in mind. I think that's about it.
Time to get baking.
I think we need to get going.
Are you ready?
Yeah, we're going to go breading.
Ready for this?
Yep.
Are we going to activate this yeast?
We're going to activate the yeast.
Okay. So what is the first thing we're going to be doing?
We're going to measure the water out.
So we have here 160 mils of. This is sort of, I wouldn't say warm, but it's not
room
cold.
Temperature.
Room temperature. It's not cold, it's not hot, it's not anything, but it is room temperature. We're going to pop our little sachet of yeasty men into our water, and then they are going to swim around like little bread tadpoles and make some delicious magic happen shortly.
The yeast we got from Woolworths or one of the supermarkets or something like that. This is powdered yeast, but you can also get another yeast which is called baker's yeast, which is in the form of a paste. So it's just as good, both of them.
I like this one. I've been using this one for a 6 months or so. Not this actual yeast packet, but as I started making bread occasionally about 6 months ago, this is my go-to yeast. So we've got our little activated men there. I'm gonna give them a bit of a swirl so they can have a good dip. So there we go. We're gonna pop our little yeasty mates over here, and they're just gonna hang out for a little while and activate. So what's the next step? Something about flour?
What is the next one? Flour?
Flour.
Yep, we're gonna...
So we need a 250 grams of flour, which also translates into about 1.5 cups. So if you don't have a scale, easy way of doing it, go to the cupboard, measuring cup, scoop, make a little volcano, and we will get to that. So
okay, let's do that.
I will be Mr. Pourer of flour. Chris is going to be...
I'm going to make the mess today.
He's the Makerspace.
Yeah, last
Make a mess.
time
I'm Alex. My name's Alex. So that's 1 cup.
You, Alex.
1 cup, and then 1/2 cup. And you know what I forgot to do?
What?
Yeah.
I've got a question for Richard. It's a good question.
Yeah.
Are you just using plain flour?
So this is plain flour.
Whether we use bread flour?
So you can use bread flour. So plain flour is just plain flour, but bread flour is bready for making bread.
The bread flour has got more what they call gluten in it, and it's a much higher quality of flour. Sometimes you can buy it at the supermarket, and it's called just bread flour.
Or type 00.
Or yeah, you can get type 00. Or the other one is there's a T rating, and T55 or T40. Higher the value of T, the better the quality of the flour. The quality that I'm using is T55.
His is a show off.
Yeah, but I like
so much tea in that flour. So what I forgot to do with our first one was to sieve our flour. So it's important to sieve our flour in because it is better for making bread. So you would know.
I've never used a sieve.
You've never used sieve? Okay.
Yeah.
We'll use partially sieve, partially not sieve. I know us Italian-y people love to use a good sieve for making pasta, pizza, and bread.
Yes.
You're from Poland, so you know not as sieve inclined as we are.
No.
But I will sieve this other 1/2 cup. So if you've got a sieve, sieve the flour. If you don't have a sieve, don't sieve the flour. It's probably not going to make a big of a deal. So you're gonna put that in. We're gonna make it rain. Oh, you can't see me. I was doing some funny motionings there. Okay. All right, Chris, make me a volcano.
You put a hole in the middle.
We're going to pop a hole in the middle of our... Where'd the other cup go? There it is. Of our little mountain. And then we're going to
take my jacket off because it's going to be a little bit messy.
So, yes, gloves off, time to get going. What's the next ingredient, Chris? What do you want in there next? Would you like some sugar? Would you like some butter? Would you like some
Oh, let's put
yeast?
some butter in there.
Put some butter?
Yep.
So I've got 20 grams of delicious salted butter. This is salted butter. Probably should go with unsalted butter. Unsalted butter would work better because yeast doesn't like salt. So this is going to act a little bit as our salt as well as our butter. So we're going to pop him in there.
You put it in like that? You don't make it into a liquid?
You want me to make it into a liquid?
Well, that's what we should do.
Okay, we're going to make it into a liquid then.
I think we should put it in the microwave.
Let's pop it in the microwave. Should I put some sugar in there in the meantime?
Yep, we can put the sugar.
So we're going to grab our 20 grams of sugar, which turns out to be 1/4 cup. So
why do we put the sugar in?
We put the sugar in because yeast loves sugar.
That's
kind of like me. I love sugar, but when you give me sugar, I don't bubble up and create gas. That's what happens when you give me beans. So we're going to pop our sugar into our little volcano, and I'm just going to give it a little bit of a, make a little bit more of a crevice. Sorry.
Oh, okay, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
We're just very professional with our baking. So we've got our flour, we've got 1.5 cups of flour, we've got 1/4 cup of sugar in our volcano, we've got our butter that's done now, so bring it out. We're gonna pour our butter, our 20 grams of butter into our little volcano man. And then Chris is gonna give it a nice mix up and start getting ready for the yeast. So we'll go for a nice close-up of some hands. There we go. You see that we've got a nice little mixture going on there. So this part's gonna start taking a little bit of time. We can also see, I'll bring down our little yeast friend down here. if you can see in there, but it's starting
what we
to
forgot?
bubble a little bit. What did we
We've got the
forget?
water.
The water's in the yeast.
Oh, the water, you're going to do it that way, okay.
Yeah.
No, I do it slightly different.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I thought I'd kill two birds with one stone. I put
Okay.
yeast in our water together. Hopefully it's happy. There's some bubbling going on there.
Okay, let's put some water into
So
it.
we're going to start pouring in our water slowly.
But not all of it. Just put in, say, half to start off with.
Exactly. Otherwise you end up with some big clump and a big pile of clag glue that smells like bread.
Yep.
So it's got some good massage action there.
Put some more in it.
We're going for some more water in our volcano.
Make another one.
We're just going to do a little bit at a time.
Because that's pretty critical. Because you don't want the bread to be the dough to be too wet.
Exactly, otherwise you'll end up with a big puddle and a big squishy blob and then a whole lot of flour around the outside.
Okay.
Is it ready for some more?
Ready for some more.
Ready for some more activated yeast juice.
Whoops.
Whoa. So that's what happens when you when you put a little bit too much. Also, if you don't have a breadboard, a kneading board, you'd end up with more mess going down the sides. So
Okay.
we're almost ready for
It's
our
almost there.
next delicious cup.
Okay. There's another one.
We're slowly progressing to the front of the board. You're gonna end up with a dirty shirt, Chris.
I hope not.
You already have a little bit.
Have I?
Oh, just a little bit. It's not too bad. So we're just going to keep doing this kneading until it's nicely mixed together.
Okay. After this, I'll show you how to knead properly. A lot of people just don't know how to do it, but I'll show you how to do it properly. It takes a little bit of practice.
Yes. So this is our preliminary kneading. This is not our main kneading.
This is just to mix the ingredients.
Exactly.
Really.
It's not even really kneading, is it?
No.
Think about it. It's mostly just mixing.
Okay. How much more we got to go?
We have approximately 75 mils.
Okay.
I was about to read liters.
Ooh, this is getting there.
So I've put quite a lot in that one there for him. So he's going to have to get his hands a bit dirty. I can start to smell nice aromas.
You can smell the yeast, yeah.
It smells bread. It smells like a bakery shop in here now. So we're starting to get quite...
I think we need a little bit more flour.
A little bit more flour? I can get more flour.
See how it's still sticky and it's sticking to my fingers? That means that it's a little bit too wet. We might need to add a little bit more flour to it
I'll go get
to make
some
it
more
a little
flour.
bit more dry.
All right, so we've got some flour. We're just going to chuck in a little bit of flour. Hang on, I just got to get this flour open.
That's one thing about bread making is that you can start with a basic recipe, but the temperature of the day, if it's been raining, will affect how much water and moisture you put into your bread.
Exactly.
So that's a part of the art of making bread, is to know how much to add.
Exactly. Absolutely. We're shooting bits of bread everywhere. So if you need some more, got more bread mix of flour.
Still sticky.
Still sticky.
So we need a little bit more
A
flour.
little bit more flour. I can spare you a little bit more flour.
Can you? Good.
There we go.
Just a little bit.
That's a lot of flour. Whoops. But that should be enough. It should help you from sticking it on the board, I guess.
Yep.
There we go. So we're going to give this a nice, delicious mix. So look at that, some good kneading action there. It's getting some of that floury content off the board and trying to mix it into our main body of dough. So we want to try and make sure we don't waste any of our nice mixture. It doesn't matter if you've got a little bit of extra flour left over.
No.
However, you know, this is how we make some delicious food.
Okay. So it's starting to take shape, and this is what you should be ending up with. Like,
doughy goodness.
you should end up with a nice little ball like that. Can you see what we're doing? So just a ball, and it shouldn't stick to your hand. You'll notice my hands are starting to now lose their stickiness. Okay,
Starting to look very bready.
so let's get up the rest of this flour. So let's try to get all this together.
Trying to be very economical and not waste.
Oh,
too
not
much.
waste anything.
Exactly.
No,
The more flour in this, the more bread we have.
Yep.
The more delicious toast and sandwiches we'll be having. I'm excited for my Rainbow Toasty Delight dinner tonight.
The recipe that we've given you is just a basic recipe. But if you want to make bigger ones, you can just double the amount and that will work just fine.
You could even put 10 times the amount in there.
If you want to make a lot of bread.
You could make a house of bread out of that. 10 times the amount. It's a lot of bread.
Okay. Has everybody got to that stage yet? Has everyone got a nice ball of
Dough.
Yeah, that's it.
Dough of premature bread.
Yep.
In its
Oh,
most
it's looking
native
good. Yeah, I
form.
can see everybody. It's looking good.
Oh, very nice. We've got some of our Zoom participants have some very nice
Yes,
dough
really
balls, doughy deliciousness.
Good.
I wish we could go out and see some of these people.
Yes,
Over
it
some,
would be
some
nice,
bread.
wouldn't
We
it?
could do a bread tour. See who's got the
Look at
best
this.
bread
Excellent.
in the
Okay.
area.
Once you've done that, we now have to knead the bread. And that's spelt K-N-E-A-D, knead. And kneading is the combining of all the ingredients and adding air into the mixture so that the yeast will rise and everything else will go together well. So I'm going to show you now how to knead bread properly. So,
Look at that ball of dough. That's
Yep.
fantastic.
So, put it onto your table. Hold it, and now with the palm of your hand, you are going to stretch the bread. So hold one side and then stretch it, pull it out like that. See? Then roll it up into a ball and now rotate it through 90 degrees and do the same thing again. Rotate it through 90 degrees, pull it out. Going to that. You might have to put it into a ball again. Then pull it out, kneading it, rotate it, knead it, rotate it, knead. And you'll get into the rhythm of it.
So do you need to do this?
Yes, you need to do this.
Ah, okay. I never knew you needed to do this.
So we just keep...
I guess that's how you get it bready. This is a really bad joke.
It's a bad joke, yeah, I agree. So you just keep kneading it, and it's quite physical, so you need to work at it. You'll notice that if you keep making bread, you start getting very strong hands.
Yep, they call it the bread diet.
Is it? I don't know.
You know, you can think of the olden days. You have these very ripped bread makers. It's a known fact.
You keep rotating it through 90 degrees. Stretch it, rotate, stretch, rotate. Rotate through 90 degrees. And you'll notice one thing that starts happening to the bread. It becomes very silky smooth. And that means that you're starting to knead it really nicely.
Very nice.
So, yep, through there.
What's the difference between bread recipe and a pizza-based recipe? Is there a difference?
They might have eggs in it. They might have some other things mixed with the pizza base.
It's been a long time since I made pizza.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever made one.
Last time I made bread, what I did is I had too much dough and I just rolled some of that dough before letting it rise.
Did you?
And I used it and made a pizza base. It rose a little bit in the oven, but it was quite nice. I made a little margarita pizza. Made my own topping.
Yeah?
My own marinara.
Stop it! I'm
sauce.
starting to salivate.
Fantastic.
I'm starting to get hungry.
It wasn't a coloured pizza though.
No.
So, however, when we colour this out, how cool would it be if we had a nice coloured pizza?
Ooh.
A blue pizza.
Okay, so you keep kneading it, and you'll notice that it becomes very smooth, the dough. And you just put it into a ball, and then you just keep kneading it. I think you can overdo it, so notice it's nice and smooth. It's got a bit of a polish to it.
The Polish.
And it feels as if it's mixed together, and that's what you are trying to do. So once you've finished with that, and you might have to do that for 5 minutes, 6 or 7 minutes, there's no fixed time, it's just when it starts getting very smooth. Now, we need to what they call proving. And proving means that you let the yeast to start growing in the bread. And it depends on the heat of the day. If it's very hot, it will rise quickly. If it's cold, it will take much longer. And I'll give you an example. During the summer, I would let it rise for a couple of hours, maybe 2 hours. But in winter, I might have to wait 8 or 10 hours to get it to rise. So it's very dependent on the temperature of the day. And what you need to do is you need to put this into a bowl.
Plastic or a wood bowl? Or...
Yeah, plastic or wood, something like that, that would be good. And then you cover it and then you let it rise. And the time it takes, you need to know that you have to double the size of what you have, and that's the correct time to do the next stage.
Absolutely.
So you've got to wait for it to double in size, and that means all the reactions taking place, you're releasing the gluten from the flour, and you are ready to go to the next stage.
Absolutely. We don't have time for that today, so what we're going to do is we're going to skip that step a little bit, and we're going to teach you how to colour your dough, flatten your dough, roll your dough, and put your dough in the oven. So I want you guys at home to knead your bread into a nice smooth ball, pop it aside for however long it takes to let it double in size, and then you will be able to see back this video later on our Facebook page, because it will be up there, and you can learn how we're going to make the rest of it. So we're going to grab our nice smooth dough ball and we're going to roll it into a bit of a log, and we're going to try and cut it into however many colors you have, even pieces. So we've got 4 different colors of food coloring here. 4 different colors of food coloring.
Oh, just before we go any further, we're adding the color and the salt on this before we do the second one, the second rising. You have to do this twice. The first time is just to get all the ingredients and you've doubled it in size. Once you've done that, we go to this next stage where we add the color, and then we add the salt. The salt is only added before the second rising because salt kills yeast as well, so it won't rise as much as it did the first time.
Poor yeast.
So that's the sort of the logic behind it.
Absolutely.
That you don't add the salt until after the first rising. If you put it in at the very beginning, it will kill your yeast, and the bread will only rise a little bit, not much.
It won't be very nice bread. It'll be more of a like a sponge cakey sort of bun thing. It'll be very heavy, dense and stuff.
And also you have to add salt at the next stage. If you leave the salt out, for some unknown reason, the bread tastes terrible. It really is not worth it.
Definitely does.
So yes, I would definitely add salt.
Yes.
Okay, so I'll leave it to you.
I'll get you to move this out of the way. So if you've got anything wood and you're using food coloring, you're going to stain that wood reasonably well. You should see my chopping boards at home. I've got some funky colors on my chopping board. So definitely recommend, if you've got like a stone bench top, or marble might not be the best one because it is porous.
Marble, the color will go in.
So if you've got a glossy finished bench top, like this, do it on there. If not, just grab like a plate out or something like that, or even a baking pan. So we're going to pop our dough back down, and then we're going to chop it up. So we're going to chop it into even pieces. So I'm going to cut it down the middle. And don't worry about the yeast. The yeast will be fine. We won't be hurting any yeast in this.
So we're cutting it into 4, are we?
So we're cutting into 4. I've got 4 colors. We've got 4 doodads of dough. I'm going to give you 2 colours.
Okay.
I'm going to take 2 colours. We're going to flatten these guys out.
Gonna flatten it out.
Into a pancake. So this heart is a little bit difficult and it's very hard to get it to mix in very well. However, we do our best. We do our best around here in the Makerspace team. So when you've got it into a little bit of a flatty thing, we're going to put a couple of drops of food colouring in there.
How many drops are we going to put in?
It really depends. You're just going to keep having to put a couple of drops in,
Try
knead
it.
You know, mix it up, drops, mix, drops, mix, drops, mix,
Okay.
drops, mix, drops, mix, drops, mix, drops.
So what, we start off with 2 drops first?
I'm going to start with 5 drops.
5. Oh, you're living on the
5.
edge. 2.
So I'm going to do that. I might put a
3.
little bit of, actually no, I won't put some
4.
flour. So
5.
I'm going to give it a little bit of a spread around on the dough.
I'm not going to do that. I'm going to.
See, I experimented with this on the weekend. That worked really well.
Oh.
So they're great Australian knead off. So it'll start to look very rainbow-y.
Ooh, it certainly is.
Which is not necessarily a bad thing. So if you don't have the patience, you could make a swirly rainbow bread. So it would just end up looking like that. I don't know if you can see it very well.
Oh.
Kind of looks like a boiled lolly. So
Looks like marble.
it does. It's some red marbling. So I know that's not going to be enough, so I'm going to add in a little bit more.
How much would you do on the next time?
So yeah, just make it very coloured.
Okay.
So you got to watch out with this. So you're going to end up with some very, very coloured hands. You'll be caught red-handed.
Ha ha.
Or blue-handed.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So this is one of the
Look
most.
at that. Look at that.
One of the most.
I'm getting blue hands. It's all going streaky. Look at that.
It's the most food colouring I've used in anything I've ever done. Making bread. This food colouring has lasted me such a long time, Chris.
Is it?
It has.
Oh. Oh well, I'll just keep going.
How's yours looking? Yours is looking
Oh, it's starting to look good.
blue.
It's starting to look blue.
Mine's starting to look red.
I like the streaky look. I reckon
You like
that's
the
good.
streaky
Yeah,
look?
I might stick with the streaky
We
look.
leave it a streak to it.
See how it looks?
Streaky sheen.
You see how streaky it's starting to look? It looks pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so I've done the blue one. Now I'm going to do the green one.
Exactly. So you're happy with that? You're happy with your double-licious? So there's a reason why I've given Chris blue and green and I've got red and yellow.
Why?
It's because I found that if I did blue and green and then went and did red and yellow, the yellow ended up very, very dirty.
Oh,
That's
I
why
see.
the one I prepared earlier is not quite perfectly yellow. I did
Yep.
the yellow the last one. That was a mistake. So do the yellow one first, if possible.
Oh, this green is really green.
It is. It's Queen's green. From the Queen's Food Colouring Company. It was a little bit of blue.
okay.
How did the blue get all the way over here?
I have no idea.
How are you kneading? Kneading good? You could say this recipe is a bit kneady.
Ha ha. Well, I think I'll have to put a bit more in, I think. As you can see, bread making is very physical.
It
It's
is.
good, it's a good exercise.
Who needs the gym when you could just make bread?
The waste doesn't like it, that's the only thing.
That's fine. You could give it to people. You give it away. You make bread. You give it to people.
True. Yeah.
There might be someone who's in need. Might need some bread. They might be very. Oh, I didn't even mean that as a joke. You could make some loaves of bread and you could drop it off at your local food kitchen facilities for people in need. And I'm sure they would appreciate some homemade delicious bread.
One thing about colour, there's no taste to it. So
I beg to differ. I reckon this other loaf here, it tastes blue. I reckon it tastes blue.
Does it? How does blue taste?
It tastes blue.
Okay.
It just tastes blue. You know when you have like a blue heaven or a smoothie or
Yep.
not a smoothie, but oh, look at that. That was a good idea. I put some of the food colouring on the thing when I'm kneading it into the food colouring this time.
So the way that you were kneading at the beginning, you can still practice with your colour. You can knead it exactly the same way.
Can you?
Rotate it through 90 degrees, stretch it with the palm of your hand, bring it back into a ball and then rotate it through 90 degrees. There we are.
Oh, yours turned out better. My yellow one's still going.
Yeah. I used to make bread every Sunday and the whole house would smell beautiful of fresh bread.
It is a nice smell, and I will say that
Yes.
the staff of Box Hill Library are going to be very, very lucky to be smelling bread for the rest of the day. And what's really fantastic is in the kneading process, I've managed to clean up most of the mess at the same time from the food dye. So there's not really any food dye mess on the table, unless you're doing it on a wood or marble benchtop. Granite probably work okay, wouldn't it? With the finish on it though?
No, granite, what's it called?
So they put like a
Marble would still absorb the colour.
well, marble because it's matte would absorb it, but like usually with granite they've got like a polish layer.
Yeah,
So
I don't know.
it
I've
might be okay.
never cooked on.
So no guarantees if you're using a stone benchtop.
Yep.
I probably wouldn't be recommending doing it. I'd be maybe looking at doing it on a plate or a pan or something like that. Cool. All right. So we have
Look at that.
some delicious mess.
Look at this.
This one's good. So what we're going to do is these ones here. These would be ready for our second proof, our second raising.
We haven't done the salt yet.
We haven't done the salt. Yeah, good point. So we're back to flattening it out. We'll flatten out our balls of dough. We're going to put, so you need a pinch of salt for the whole lot. So I maybe just have one pinch and I'm going to spread it out
You
between.
put a pinch in every one of them.
I think that should be sufficient. So 1 pinch of salt. I don't know what that is in grams. It really depends. You guys might have smaller hands, so your pinch might be smaller. So maybe 2 pinches. But it should be okay. So we're just going to mix that up, give it a knead. And what that's going to do is that's going to kill off our yeasty boys when it has finished rising. So
The salt is used as a preservative. That means that it makes the bread last longer.
yes, deliciousness
Yep.
and longevity of bread.
Depends how quickly you want to eat it.
Exactly. So I've got one more to do myself. And
You'll
now-
notice that after you've kneaded the dough, it doesn't stick to anything.
Exactly.
It just rolls off the surface really easily.
Oh, exactly. So now that we've got our dough balls, we're going to do the same thing as what we did earlier. These are going to be left to rise, and are they going to double in size, or are they going to just get a little bit bigger now?
No, I've seen it double in size again.
Okay. So it's going to get a little bit bigger. So you're going to leave it for, how long do you reckon that'll take? On a day like today, Melbourne, I could feel the wind,
I reckon a couple of hours.
humidity in the air
2
pressure, a
hours.
couple of hours.
Yeah.
So you're going to leave these for a little while, so a couple of hours, covered. You could put them on a chopping board, cover it up, put it somewhere warm, out of the sun, out of the cold, out of the wet.
Yeah.
Let it rise, and that will puff up. So what's going to happen is that, and then what will happen after that? We're going to stretch it out. We're going to make into some rectangles, and then we're going to roll it up. So we're going to show you how to do that. So remember, you don't want to do that straight away. We want to do it a little bit later once it's risen. If you do it now, it'll still make bread. It just won't be as good as it will be. So if you are colouring your bread at home at the moment,
I think before we should flatten this first before the second rising. We should flatten. Yeah, I think you should flatten this out now.
You reckon that's a good idea?
Yep, flatten it out now.
Change of plans. What we will do, you will flatten your bread dough. So we're going to flatten it out. We're using 2 different methods right here. Chris is using on the table. I'm going to try and do a bit of a pizza roll in the midair thing.
But the other thing is you could have a rolling pin. We haven't got a rolling pin.
Rolling
here.
pin would work well if you don't have a rolling pin, if you've got a very square-edged glass or a drink
So
bottle.
what shape should we do this
We're
round?
aiming for a rectangle. If you have it, if it ends up round, it ends up looking like a big tortilla, which sort of goes a bit weird. So mine is definitely round, so I've got to work on my shape skills here. So a bit of a rectangle. We want to try and make them about the same size each.
There's one.
So one, I'm going to try and replicate this. It's not bad, that's pretty close. So they're going to be stacked on top of each other.
So what are we going to do? Green? What's the next colour you want?
I reckon yellow, then blue, then red.
Okay, let's do that then.
So this one here.
I've got a question from Bethany.
Yep.
So we put the salt in now. Bethany wonders whether the salt would stop it from rising.
No, it doesn't. It's only at the very beginning, because what the chemistry is that when you rise it the first time, it releases gluten, which is part of the flour. And then for the second rising, we're doing it just to rise the bread. We're not doing it to release any chemistry at all.
Exactly.
So it's not that critical at that point. So it's only at the very beginning.
For our people playing along at home, as we said a little bit earlier, this needs to be risen first. So we're skipping it for the sake of demonstration, but it definitely needs to be risen nicely before you get to this step. It does matter, but at the same time, if you just want to have a bit of fun and make a loaf of bread, it will work. It won't be bad. It won't be horrible. It's still be edible. But to make the best bread, you want to rise it, and you want to rise it twice. So one time, you make the dough, you leave our plain dough, you let it sit for a couple of hours, let it double in size. Once it's doubled in size, roll it into a log. The log we get, we roll it, we already rolled into a log.
Yep.
We chop it into even portions, and then we roll them up into a ball, flatten them out. Hang on, I'll put the blue in first.
Okay, you can do the next one.
Thank you very much. Hang on, what was I? We portion it up, put it into balls, then we make the balls flat. We put our food colouring in and our salt. We knead them until it's mixed in. Then we are doing this, so we're going to flatten them into sort of rectangles.
And then now we're going to let it rise after that, and then we'll stick it in the oven.
So this one here is pretty much ready to go. Do you reckon we can roll it and let it rise as a log? Well,
you could we'd do it lengthwise, like a Swiss roll. Go through that
this way?
Yeah.
Okay. So with this one here, we're going to make sort of like a Swiss roll slash almost like a little baguette, little rainbow baguette sort of thing. So we're going to take this and we're just going to roll it. And what's going to happen is you're going to get a log. So look at that. It kind of looks a bit like a rainbow taco, I think, or a burrito.
Ooh, yes.
But if you can see that, we've got some nice rainbow on the side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a bit of a seal. I'm going to do a bit of a pinch. Yep. Bit of a pinch just to make sure that it stays together. Give it a good pinch.
If it's too dry, get a little bit of water, put it on your fingertips, and then just wet the edges, and that will make it stick.
Absolutely. So just making it stick together. I'm going to try and pinch the edges, and I'm going to try and push all the colour inside. So I want the outside to be yellow.
Wow.
Let's look at that. I might need maybe some water. Oh, no, it should be okay. Yeah. I'm just not as patient. So
well, that's something you have to have when you're making bread. You have to have a lot of patience.
Definitely looking a lot like a burrito, Chris.
I think so.
So you put yellow on the outside, it ends up looking like a very yellow burrito.
All this talk of food, I'm starting to feel hungry.
I know. Me too. Me too. Do you know what's for lunch?
We're having a barbecue.
We're having bread.
Are we?
Bread for lunch now. So now we've got our log. It just looks like a yellow log. I'm going to give it a bit of a
roll.
Bit of a roll. Make it. No, look at that. Okay. So
perfect.
We've got that there. And now the thing that we're going to get. I'm going to use a baking pan. This one here I've pre-buttered at home. It's got a little bit of butter in it to stop anything from sticking. Just because.
You can use a mould, or you can what they call free form. You can roll it into a log and just leave it flat like that, and then let it rise.
I'm only using this because I've got it on hand. You don't have to. Pop it on a chopping board. Put a what are they cloths called? The ones you use in the kitchen. tea towel.
Tea towel.
Put a tea towel over the top, let it sit. So you're going to let this sit somewhere, you know, try and find somewhere a little bit warm but not hot.
Yep.
Let it rise for a little while. Once that's risen, let's pretend that's risen. We're going to go take it, we're going to pop it in the oven. So
what sort of temperatures do we need to have it in the oven?
So about 180 degrees for about half an hour for a little loaf of bread.
So you only use one temperature? Like you don't put it up high first and then cut it back, or?
For very, very professional bread artists, I would say definitely look into temperature controlling. But for this one here, we're just going to leave it at 180 degrees for about a half an hour. Keep an eye on it and make sure that it is cooking well, not burning. If it starts burning, take it out because it's burning and that's
you
bad.
have to preheat the oven. That's very important.
Exactly.
You've got to it might take you 20 minutes or half an hour for the oven to warm up to the correct temperature. And then you put it in the pan, put it in the oven, and then put your timer on. Say, how long do you think?
20 minutes, half an hour.
Okay, so
for the heating up.
No, for the first part of the cooking. So set the timer for 20 minutes, then have a look at it and see how it's cooking. And you might have to add another 5 or 10 minutes onto it, and just keep setting your timer.
Absolutely. So we've got our one that we've let rise. We're going to let that one rise. We're going to come back to that one later. We're going to put it in the oven. We're going to have some delicious bread for lunch later today. However, as a professional, we have one we prepared earlier. So this is one that I cooked last night and it's come straight out of the oven.
Ooh.
Fresh, 1 day old bread. It's on its second day, so it's all fine. We're gonna do a little bit of a reveal. So maybe we'll do a bit of a close up on the bread and we'll do a slice and we can see how deliciously. So we're using a butter knife for this. If you've got a bread knife, it'll be a lot better.
Let's see how it looks.
So, we've got the reveal. Who's ready to see our bread? Who's ready to see the bread? So, once you've cut it,
that looks great.
end up with a delicious rainbow tasty bread. So you can cut that into a slice of bread and you end up with a nice slice.
Can you toast it?
You can toast it, you can make a sandwich out of it, you could, you know.
Oh, imagine turning up the school with rainbow bread like that.
Yes, in your sandwiches, you could have rainbow bread. If you've got a bread maker or anything like that, you could just pop it all in there. You could just make a blue loaf, you could make a green loaf, you could make a rainbow loaf, you can make any loaf. But I'm gonna have a taste.
Okay, go for it. How does it taste?
Like bread.
Like bread, oh, okay.
Have a slice. So, my mouth's full now.
Oh, I've never had rainbow bread. Doesn't taste too bad at all.
Yeah, colourful, delicious. Well, there you have it. So we've successfully made our rainbow bread. It'd be really good to see any of your bread creations. If you make a sandwich, if you make toast, if you make some sort of bread and butter pudding using rainbow bread, it'd be rainbow bread and butter pudding.
Oh yeah,
that'd be
bread
delicious.
And butter pudding. Oh yeah.
There you go. So if you've made this at home, we'd love to see it. Send it through to us via email. Bring a loaf down, put it through the return chute.
No, don't
any of
do
those
that.
things.
No.
I don't think they'd agree with us putting it through the return sheet. So don't put it through the return chute at any of our library branches. However, it would be fantastic to see some of the photos. So pop them up on our Facebook page. We'll probably be able to maybe get them onto our social media so we can show off your bread and your sandwiches and anything that you've made out of bread. So let us know how you go, and that's
the one thing about bread making is that you're learning all the time. It's never one recipe and that's it. I've been making my own bread now probably for 10 years, and every time I make it I learn something different, or I add or subtract or change the recipe just a little bit.
How do you think I went? This is
pretty good. This is my first attempt.
This is my second attempt. I've made bread before, but not for a while. So this is my first attempt at rainbow bread. So yeah,
it's pretty good.
It's not bad.
Yeah, so the one thing, like any experimenting, only change one variable at a time. Like you might add a little bit more water and just see what happens when you make the bread. Or you might reduce the amount of water and see what happens. But only change one thing at a time and then have a look at the effect on your bread when you have changed that. That's good engineering, always good.
Do you know what it needs?
What, butter?
Vegemite. I've got butter.
Oh,
I'll get butter the bread.
Vegemite. I need peanut butter.
Oh, I'm
Peanut
Vegemite
butter,
man.
absolutely.
Or Nutella.
Okay, I hope you've all enjoyed our bread making session. And
I definitely enjoyed it. Now I'm having a nice snack.
oh, okay. So, any questions, or have we bamboozled you completely?
No, I've got a few questions along the way. What I might do, I've had a request for the recipe, so I might send that out to everybody in case we missed a step or two. But I just want to say thanks, guys. That looks absolutely fantastic. I hope it tastes as good as it looks, Alex.
We've
Look at your face, I think it does.
We're putting some in the branch run up to you. We've got Ross, who is our internal courier for the library service. He will be bringing you a small half loaf of bread. This one's mine. I'm taking this one home, but this one's for you, Paul. It's coming up in the branch run, so you should see it into 1 to 3 business days.
Thank you. Thanks, guys. Really appreciate it. I hope everyone out there enjoyed making the bread as much as I enjoyed watching it. Those colours look fantastic. And I love the way you can be as creative. You can make single colours, multiple colours.
Yeah, you can mix the colours together. There's unlimited possibilities. You've got your red, your green, your blue. You can mix them together. You can make, if you mix blue and red, you can get purple. You mix yellow and blue and you'll get green. You can make any color you want. So if you can dream it, you can do it.
Remember, rainbow has only got 7 colours.
I want to make a demon's blue and red.
There you go, it's red. You got some blue. There you go.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. I'll send the ingredients up to Nunawading Library and you can get bready. There's a nice kitchen in there you can, knead away in. I'm sure the staff will love it.
Good.
Right, thanks guys, and thank you everyone. Lovely to see you all. Hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed your school holidays and enjoy making bread.
Thank you. Catch you later, guys.
Bye.
Time to clean up.
I gotta wash my hands.
Yeasty good.
Bye.
Bye. See you guys.